Good afternoon. I'm Joe Redshaw, President of Local 793. I have the privilege on behalf of Business Manager Gallagher, the officers and the Executive Board to welcome Premier Ford, Minister McNaughton, and MPP Stephen Crawford. I'd like to welcome them, as I said, on behalf of our members of Local 793 across the province of Ontario. The Premier just had the every little boy's dream. He had the opportunity to run one of the big cranes we have in the backyard. And in behind me, we also have all of our apprentices from across Ontario. So welcome, Premier Ford. We look forward to your comments today. And with that, I'd like to introduce Business Manager Gallagher to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you also for your patience here. It's a great honor for the operating engineers, Local 793, to have the Premier here, and Monty McNaughton and Steve Crawford, local MPP, and to announce our endorsement of the PC party in the 2022 election. Make sure we vote on June the 2nd, next Thursday. And we have over 18,000 members in the province of Ontario. This is our training institute and head office in Oakville. And the reason why we're endorsing Doug Ford and his campaign is for three main reasons. The number one reason would be his leadership. Doug Ford has shown his leadership throughout the last 2 years, where we had an unprecedented pandemic and was able to adapt to changing circumstances that happened very quickly. As business manager of the operating engineers, I felt in a similar situation with our own organization with 200 plus staff and over 18,000 members and their families. So the ability to make sure that you look at science and the health and everything else and get up and keep everybody informed on a weekly basis, as Premier Doug Ford did at the time, was absolutely essential to the safety of our people here in the province of Ontario and our members. The other reason would be that there's an unprecedented $158 billion investment in infrastructure, much needed infrastructure at the right time for the province of Ontario. We need to keep the economy going, especially with the impact of the inflation and also the pandemic that we went through. So we fully support the construction of the highways and needed infrastructure and the commitment to affordable housing which has been made. And last but not least, the commitment to skills training and compulsory certification, mandatory training. Here today we have a graduating class of our students who will go out into the industry and help build for the future. So yes, by all means, applaud them. And we need jobs. We need jobs for them, and we need support of our skills training, not just for our trade, but for all of the construction trades. So we definitely hats off to Premier Ford, his team, and Monty McNaughton, Minister of Labour and Skills Development. And we look forward to working with Doug Ford when he's returned as Premier of the province of Ontario on June 2nd. So thank you. Now I'd like to get out of your way and introduce Doug Ford, leader of the PC party, who will say a few words to us here. And thank you once again for everybody to be here, especially the Premier and our guests. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and I just want to thank Mike and Joe and for your support and your entire team and the support of the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 793. And I also want to give a shout out to Monty McNaughton, Minister of Labour, and Stephen Crawford and Mayor Burton. Talk about city builders. First of all, Mayor, you're an absolute champion. Thank you for working side by side with our government. I'm very grateful, and our two great MPPs. Folks, I'm so excited to be here today in Oakville with so many young people who are training for good jobs in the skilled trades. Friends, we're 6 days from the election day, and I've never been more excited about the future of Ontario. I hear it time and time again. Whether it's in Timmins or Windsor or London or Durham or anywhere across Ontario, Ontario's best days are still ahead. But it's up to each of us to roll up our sleeves and get it done. We're the only party saying yes. We're saying yes to rebuilding Ontario's economy with better jobs and bigger paychecks, so our kids and grandkids can build their future right here in Ontario. Yes to keeping costs down for Ontario families and putting more money back into your pockets. We're saying yes to working for workers as we get more women and men into the skilled trades. And we're saying yes to keeping our province and our economy open today and in the future. Every day, more and more people are lending their support for our plan, a plan to build Ontario. And nowhere is the support growing more than among our women and men who work in the skilled trades. Throughout this campaign, I've been so proud to welcome the support of a growing number of unions representing the women and men who are building Ontario. And folks, make no mistake about it, each and every one of these folks behind me, they're helping build Ontario. We couldn't build anything if it wasn't for the cranes right here. So I'm very, very grateful. Just to name a few, including LIUNA, the largest construction union in North America, the Boilermakers, and the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Construction Council of Ontario, the Painters and Allied Trades, and the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, Transportation Workers, Local Union 285, the Ontario Pipe Trades Council, the United Association of Local 787, HVAC and Refrigeration Workers of Ontario, and today, including International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 793. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. Each of these organizations knows what it takes to build, and each of these unions is lining up behind our plan to build Ontario. The other parties, they've given up on our workers. We can't let the Liberals take us back, and we can't let the NDP hold us back. While they're saying no, we're saying yes. Yes to getting more women and men into the skilled trades. Yes to breaking down barriers so more newcomers can come here and find a good job. Yes to building Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass. And yes to building subways and expanding GO Train service. And yes to restoring the Northlander train service. And yes to building 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. Friends, this is a choice we face on June the 2nd. It's a very clear choice. If you want more excuses, if you want more delays and more empty talk, well, you've got a lot of options in this election. But if you want to get it done, you have one choice, the Ontario PCs. We're ready to get it done. We have the team, we have the vision, we have the plan, and now we have the momentum. So on June the 2nd, everybody, let's do it. Let's get it done. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hi, Mr. Ford. It's
Hi.
Lorenda Redikoff with
Hi,
CBC.
Lorenda. How are you?
there. Fine, thanks. When you look back on your handling of the pandemic, is there anything, looking back now, that you can point to and say, like, that you should have handled differently?
Well, there's probably a lot of things that I could look back. I always like looking forward. I didn't do this myself. If it wasn't, let's use an example right here. If we didn't keep the construction trades open, the skilled trades open, there'd be less housing, less roads, less bridges. It was a Team Ontario approach. When it came to the health, I listened to the docs and the chief medical officer, and when it came to the economy, we all worked together. Everyone pitched in, and I've never been more proud of the Team Ontario approach. And I say the Ontario spirit. It goes right back to when we didn't have any PPE, and I called out for help. In 2 days, 26,000 companies went on our portal to start making the face masks, N95s, the face shields, the gowns, and everything in between. So I'm very, very grateful. And we have a strong plan, not to go back, but to stay open and keep moving the economy forward.
I get that it's perhaps your version of sunny ways to some extent, but when you think of all the families of people in long-term care who died, there were more than 4,000 deaths. Is there something specific that you can point to?
Well, you're asking me to point to one thing. I can't. You know, I'll tell you one thing. I was the first to stand up there, and if I made a mistake, I think I'm the only elected official, politician, whatever you want to call us, that would go up there and say, you know, I made a mistake, I apologize, this is what we're doing to correct it, and I corrected it immediately within 24 hours. And I'm going to continue doing that. I'm not perfect by any means, I'll tell you that.
Mr. Ford, Sean O'Shea with Global News.
How you doing?
Good afternoon. Well,
Good.
thank you. You've talked a lot about transparency during this election campaign, and yet in Hamilton yesterday, security teams issued trespass notices to some people who were attending or trying to attend your public event, and there was an arrest made of a Toronto lawyer at that event who was invited there by you. Did you believe that people should be arrested or trespass ticketed for attending your events and for potentially not agreeing with everything you're saying?
Well, let me tell you about the event. I want to thank the people in Hamilton. It was a great event. Hundreds of people came out. They were energized. And I don't think the PC Party's ever had a rally like that in Hamilton. So we're very grateful. And I want to thank the Hamilton Police. They always have a challenging job. All our police officers do. And I just want to thank them for their support and how they handle things.
Mr. Ford, that's not the answer to the question. Why would your security people, why would your political team be asking to trespass people who have normally every right to come and attend a public event? And you, in fact, gave an invitation to the lawyer who was eventually arrested there. Do you believe that those who dissent or disagree with Doug Ford should be arrested or ticketed?
Well, again, you know, we do these events all across Ontario. We had a great rally in Hamilton, and I just appreciate everyone's support in the Hammer. I'll tell you, we're going to win some seats in there, first time in a long time, and I just want to thank them.
Next question.
Hi, Mr. Ford. Jessica Smith with the Canadian Press.
Hi.
Regarding Bill 124, it was time limited for 3 years, and it seems like most public sector contracts won't be subject to its provisions for the next round of bargaining. You said you'll sit down with those unions and negotiate. Does that mean you're promising you won't bring in any new public sector wage restraint legislation?
Well, as these contracts lapse, I think one's coming up in August. I can tell you right now, we'll sit down, negotiate fairly, and I support our frontline workers.
And since Bill 124 is largely expired anyway, what do you think of the other party's promises to repeal it? Are they just symbolic?
Well, I'm focused on our message. Our message is about making sure we put money back into people's pockets, making sure we spend $158 billion in infrastructure so we can keep folks behind me and right across this province working. Our economy is absolutely moving forward in the right direction. I'll just give you some examples. When I took office, the previous government lost and chased 300,000 jobs out of this province. As of today, as we stand today, there's 550,000 more people working today than there were 4 years ago. There's 340,000 people on the side, companies on the sideline waiting to hire people. We're going to pour money into the skilled trades. Again, I want to thank our MPP, Stephen Crawford, for his work here in Oakville, and Mayor Burton. And I want to thank the Minister of Labour, Monty McNaughton. You know, he has just worked endlessly, working hand in hand to make sure that we kept the construction trades and skilled trades open throughout this pandemic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's okay. Sorry, we're doing this dance again with the mic. Good afternoon, Mr. Ford. I'm Charlie Pinkerton from QB Briefing. The first question I have for you is about something our publication has received, which is the results of a survey your government did on ODSP. Lots of people are feeling like the service isn't timely, they aren't treated with respect, and also that it is hard to access. So I know you're planning to raise the rates, but does the program need a broader overhaul?
Well, I'm always big into continuous improvement, you know, just continue improving the situation. But I'm happy that we're going to focus on the rate of inflation. I think it was 5% that we're going to increase it. And our goal, even on people on ODSP, if they're able to work, we want to give them a job. We want to find them a job. There's lots of jobs out there. And the people that aren't able to work, be it physically, mentally, whatever, I will always take care of them. And I believe society will always take care of them. And we'll never waver on that. So if you're physically able to work, we're going to make sure we take care of you.
And if you're reelected, who would you be more comfortable facing as the official opposition, the Liberals or the NDP?
I'm just focusing on our message over the next 6 days, and and whoever it is, it doesn't bother me. We're just going to focus on making sure we keep the economy moving forward, creating more jobs, putting money back into people's pockets, no matter if it's a license sticker tax or cutting the tolls or cutting that nasty gas tax by 5.7 cents. We're going to continue focusing on putting money back into people's pockets, creating good jobs, and that's what our message has been right from the beginning of this campaign. We're going to carry on that message for the next 6 days. I just ask people out there, if you haven't voted, please get out there and vote, and we'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah.